corner. She found the corner. What does it sound like in your brain when you find a piece that goes somewhere?
Like that.
Like that?
This is
So,
better.
welcome to behind the scenes of our life. We don't know if this is going to be placed somewhere. It might have potential. We'll see when we edit. But yeah, we're away. We are in Maine. It's snowing out here. Well, it snowed out here. But this is a place that a very generous family lets us use, and we're trying to have quarterly rhythms of replenish, reset, rest, so we can serve outwardly as well as possible. And this is one of Mel's favorite things in the whole world. Why do you like puzzles so much, Mel?
Just so relaxing. I feel like I detach and I focus on one thing. And I like challenges. And I think puzzles like this especially are challenging because...
How many pieces?
No, why did you do that?
Oh. I just messed up the... This was another container?
Yes.
Okay.
I should have made that clear.
Is it sides?
No,
you were doing sides.
Yes.
Yo,
just,
okay, I can fix that.
No, just leave the side. Just leave it in there. Okay. All right.
Was this another container?
No.
Oh.
This is just, we're grabbing from this one.
I'm just going to keep the sides that were already here.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
And put everything else back.
Whatever you want to do. If you want, we can use one of these for edges, if that's less confusing.
I just needed a place where I could put a lot of pieces in. So yes, is there more? Or we have to go get it?
Well, yeah, we'd have to go get more. But we can also use this as the edges and just move this out of your space and you can put all the pieces that you want there.
Do that.
But, okay, yeah, I'll just organize these. What was I saying? Anyways, I like challenges.
She likes challenge. So I was just making it a
You were
little
just
bit more...
trying to challenge me.
Make it a little more challenging. So put these, put them.
Yes.
I just feel overwhelmed by them being all in there. So you like challenges?
I do. I think that's the athlete part of me.
Okay.
That I like to be challenged. And it's a little bit of the nerdy part of me because it just makes my brain work. I have to, and I like to organize, I think. So although this isn't my favorite part of building a puzzle, it's a little relaxing because I get to categorize them. As you can see, I have different buckets.
What's going on here?
So, let me break it down for you. This is, the main.
That's the source.
The main feed, yeah.
I'll translate it into real world.
Yeah. And then this and the little plates are buckets that we use to separate the main source. So in this puzzle specifically, there's really only blues, a lot of different shades of green.
So actually, before we...
Yeah.
What puzzle are we doing?
Shout out Paola.
Shout out to my sister. It's where's the box? Oh, we're using it as the source. I'm not touching that anymore. So it's The Great Gatsby, and it's a movie that I watched with my sister, and we enjoyed it. So for Christmas, actually we were here for Christmas too.
We were.
She gave me this puzzle, and how many pieces is it?
I think it's 1,000.
1,000?
Pretty sure it's 1,000.
It's not 2,000? I thought it was 2,000.
No, it's 1,000.
1,000? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's the biggest puzzle you've done?
I think only 2,000.
Only 2,000.
I think max like 2,500. I don't think I've ever done anything like 3,000.
That's wild.
That would be...
I don't think I've ever done more than 1,000. I don't have the capacity, the mental capacity to sit for that long. But I do enjoy puzzles as well. So, all right, so Great Gatsby puzzle, 1,000 pieces. We are in Maine. My sister gave us the puzzle, and you're about to explain to us, like, what are these buckets? Okay, so this is the source. It has all the
Yes.
pieces.
It's just the mess of all the pieces. Because for this, there's no instructions. They just give you the pieces, tell you what it should look like, and then you put it together
So the
however way you
puzzle
want to.
doesn't have. Oh, interesting. I never thought about that. That a puzzle doesn't have instructions.
Yeah. Anyone could comment on this and be like, you're bugging. Why would you do it like that? Yeah. I don't know what to tell you. This is how I do it. This is a method to my madness.
Drop in the comments what's the best method to. We have so many comments that we might not get to it. But drop in the comments what's the best way to start the puzzle. So you're talking about separation, like separating.
Yes.
Because.
So I separate them by color, specifically, especially with this one where it's like really only yellows.
But what's the first thing you
browns,
look for?
orange. So that's the thing. Okay. So what I was talking about with Kayla was that, of course, how do you start a puzzle? You go with the borders. Like, it's what makes the most sense because it gives you a structure to build off of. Like, if you're making a house, you wouldn't just start with the second floor. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
No, me either.
Don't let a maven build a house.
He'll start hanging things down. So like we were talking about how like you start with the border. It seems like the most logical sequence because then it gives you something to attach to. Like if this is like right next to a border piece, then I can attach to that and then build off of that and make my way in as opposed to start. But to be fair, I've had puzzles where I'll start with like, okay, not start. I'll have the border, but I won't build off of the border. Okay. I'll be like, okay, these are my boundaries. I can stay within this because it gives me, because I look at this and
I don't even want to look at that.
I know. I look at the final image and I'll imagine that it's the size of this thing. And then when you start making it, it's like actually really
yeah.
This
So
size.
this one, you're like, oh, the next one's probably here, but in reality, it's like, yeah.
Exactly. But for this one, for example, like maybe once we organize this, maybe I decide to start with the fountain. Because like those pieces will be easy to find because there'll be only yellow and green. I mean, yellow and blue when most of it is going to be green.
The problem that I run up is like, if I'm going to start with this, hold on. I'm going to start with this, I'm going to have pieces that are here and there. And
yeah, valid. So maybe you start small and you go with the clock. Because the clock, there's only
like,
one.
what is there that is just one of? You know?
Yeah, that is the hard part.
Well, I think from working with athletes, there's something about doing small actions that you know how to do or that are easier to attain, and that starts to build confidence. There's times where like I just walk away from the puzzle because I'm like I have not put a piece in for an hour, but the borders it's an easy like, oh, does this have a border? No border. Okay, I got that answer right.
Yeah.
And so
it's a confidence boost.
So I do think it has to do a little bit with confidence boost and like, oh, I can do this. It's so much easier when I ask an athlete at halftime how was the game for them to tell me what went wrong, as opposed to like, hey, we did this well, we did that well, and those then become the borders for the second half, and I wonder what if we're just delaying or making it more difficult for ourselves by not finding the boundaries that, oh, we know for a fact that we did this well. And then you start to pick out, okay, now that we got that, like here's something that's connected to that we can improve on. But because it's connected to it, I know it's similar. I can get there in the second half. Which is why like I love how much you love puzzles. Because there's such a metaphor for just about everything.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, don't get me started.
I'm gonna get you started.
No. Sermon series puzzles.
I was I was struggling with a piece of my life. So I had drawn all of the things that I am involved in into puzzle pieces, and I was like, they just don't fit. And so I came to you and I asked you, I was like, hey Mel, when you're doing a puzzle and you're stuck in a place where like you just don't know what piece fits in here, like what the hell do you do? So what do you do when you're stuck in a part of the puzzle and you just can't figure it out?
Oh yeah, I try in a different part of the puzzle.
You just went to a different part of the puzzle. That was so groundbreaking for me in that moment, because it felt like if I looked away from these pieces, I was almost forfeiting the puzzle. And what if it's just this big puzzle and I just gotta look somewhere else? And then that took us into there's times where when you look to the another part of the puzzle and you start to put that together, eventually it starts to click with the ones that you were struggling with, and it brings almost like intention to where you were.
Yeah.
So I thought that was such a powerful thing that for me, like, I always want a solution, and it helped me see that, like, no, like, it's just a massive puzzle, and it's okay to look to the other side, and we've talked about how I have one of my fears is like wasting time, and looking elsewhere sometimes feels like I wasted all this time trying to do this side. But anyways, this is why I'm here doing a puzzle with you, because I'm convinced that there's some principles in this that can actually translate. Why are you giving me this?
Because we talked about the clock.
We talked about the clock. All right, that might be where we start. All right, tell me more. Tell me more about. So you start with the borders. I always imagine, I guess, yeah, borders, but my first thought is like the corners.
Yeah. So that's part of the borders.
Okay.
Like that helps me like as you saw as you were talking, I found a corner piece, and since we're doing top to bottom.
Okay, got it.
That's the bottom left.
So she's like finishing the puzzle while I'm just like talking.
No, but I thought that I had while you were talking. Like I'll be like, oh, I can't find this piece because I'm so locked into the idea of what that piece is supposed to look like. And then I'll move on and I'll find the piece and I'm like, this is not what I thought it looked like at all. But you get so fixed on your expectation of what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And like I'll think it's like a yellow piece, and turns out it's like a light blue and with like a centimeter of yellow, and I'm like, why did I?
Yeah.
How did I? And it just, and that's the exciting part of puzzles.
That's the good part.
Well, it's just like, cause puzzles are so metaphorical, but like I could be looking for a piece that is so obviously supposed to sit this way. But because it's laying down the wrong way, I won't see it.
You would never see it.
It's quite literally hiding in plain sight. It's so insane. And then you get like this sense of like angry, but like happy. Like my two favorite emotions.
Angry and happy? Yeah.
Because you're so pissed you couldn't find it before, when you feel like you wasted so much time. And like that is also part of like why I do the buckets. Because although I'm specifically looking for the borders, I don't want to look at a piece and then throw it back in there.
So I'm doing it wrong right now.
No, I'm not going to tell you if you're doing it wrong or right. That's up to you. But like I have already seen the pieces. And so like if I give them a category, I will feel better because I'm like, I already looked at that piece. I know it's somewhere in here.
I'm not at that level. You have to laugh about it. Like,
of course.
If it's
Come on. Life's a joke.
Okay, I don't know about all that. Life's a puzzle. Life's a puzzle. I don't know if it's a joke. You haven't gotten me there yet.
I mean that in the sense of like,
I know you don't.
that like you gotta laugh about it.
That's true.
Like, I could make a joke about something so soy dark.
Oh, soy dark.
I could make a joke about something dark, but like, I can choose whether I laugh about it or not. If I turn it into a happy experience or if I don't.
Yeah.
Because like, it's not going to change the reality of the truth of it. Like, it could be very true, but if I laugh about it, then I'm setting a mental structure for myself rather than letting that like depress me or upset me.
I think when you laugh about it, you almost rise above it, and it's not above you. Yeah. Which I mean, when we watch stand-up comedy, you know how I enjoy the dark jokes or
you too.
or the heavy jokes that like I don't know if it's appropriate to laugh about that.
Yeah.
But I guess it goes back to a conversation we were having this morning about motive and intention.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
and I don't ever have a motive of let me look down to humans. I guess when I was in college,
Yeah.
I had a lot of black teammates, and and there would be so many racist jokes, and not at them but with them, and they would go into it. I remember, I don't know if I don't know if this will be part of it, but
It's also the times were so different.
maybe. But it was just like when you're so close to someone, it's almost like these jokes brought us closer. Like like we would go into the locker room and somebody would shut down the lights, and so it was pitch black, and then they would start saying like, by they it was probably me.
By the me, I'm they.
I'm they. This is the only time I'm gonna use. I'm they. They would say, where's a bell? And then somebody else, another day would say, a bell, open your eyes so we can see. And then another day would be like, smile so we can see you. And then it was during Donald Trump's first term, and a bell, who is African American, walks into the office, and he walks right to the board and puts a number on the board, like a phone number. And I was like, and he was looking at me while he was doing that, and I was like, yo, what's that? And he's like, Donald Trump is in office now. You say one more racist thing to me, and I'm calling ICE. This is the ICE number, and ICE is immigration, so they can deport your brown ass. And I mean, I'm sure there's people that would not appreciate
yeah.
us joking, but like no matter what people think, there was a relationship between Abel and I that we always knew that our intention was just for laughter, and it somehow that made us be more okay with each other's
Differences?
not just differences, but reality of harmful parts of our life. And so he could joke about a fear of deportation with me, and I would joke with a racist joke, and knowing that that's probably like the most vulnerable parts of our reality, but our relationship was stronger than that. And so how did we get to jokes?
Because it said life is a joke.
Because you said life is a joke, okay. And she found another corner. Let's go.
We listen closely, I guess.
Yeah, she continues.
And press on.
But anyways, life is a puzzle, but it can also be a joke.
It can be a funny puzzle.
It can be a funny puzzle. What is your favorite part of the puzzle? Is it the process? Is it when you put that last piece? What is it?
I feel like it's when I find a really challenging piece. Like a piece that I feel like is really tricky. Like
you've been looking for it for a while?
Like a patch of just grain. Like a piece that's just like no detail to give me anything. But I find her and I put her where I'm building, and I'm like, wow.
You just feel like you and the puzzle became one. Like you don't even...
We locked in. Like there's you can't tell us nothing. Like
I am the puzzle and the puzzle is me.
Exactly. It feels so good. Yeah, or like even just finding a piece that like I've been looking for a while. But like the last puzzle I did was a world map.
By yourself.
Like it's fun when it's like, oh, I'm gonna work on this section, and I know where those pieces are, or what color I need to find, or what kind of shape, or what kind of lines I'm looking for, and I put them together. Like the borders of it had way more details, but when I got to the map part of it, and it was just like
any piece could go anywhere.
Empty space, yeah. Where it's just
like
the sea.
You could put Colombia in
exactly
Panama, and it would have been fine.
Exactly. So those are the like when you get to like really tricky parts, it's fun and just like feeling and
What would you
seeing the
say?
progress.
Progress. So progress is probably one of the feelings.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
That was big. Yeah, I think I mentioned it a lot while I was doing it because it's
Yeah.
not like you do this in one sitting.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
not realistic
Yeah. And
unless you have a
it's
lot of time.
counterculture in the sense that there's no instant gratification
Mm.
to finishing the project.
Mm-hmm.
And I
And when
can't.
I
Yeah.
finish, I'm sad.
And when you finish, you're sad. Tell me
Yeah.
more. Why are you sad when
I'm
you
like,
finish?
yay!
How long does that
All
last?
right,
That yay?
time to. Not very long because like I guess you're feeling the yay like as you're approaching the end. You're like, okay, I'm starting to have like only a handful of pieces left. Like there's very limited options on where they can go.
Mm-hmm.
And there is less confusion at that point in the puzzle. There's more like, okay, like I just got to find where these go and then I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh my gosh, yay, it looks so good. Now it's time
It's
to
so it's
break
so
them up
it's
and put them
so
back in the
yeah.
box.
It's so cliche.
Mm.
The fact that the process is more important than the destination.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not even something that we say in life so that we can focus on the process, but like the acceleration. Is
Mm.
acceleration a word?
Exhilaration.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The acceleration of the process brings more livelihood
Mm.
than the actual final piece.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm so convinced that
Mm-hmm.
the way we do anything is just the way that we do everything,
Mm.
and not in the sense that what we actually intentionally do, but just the way that it works.
Mm.
Uh, the way that this thing works, like it's something that is confusing and that you have to strategize and that it's not one sitting,
Mm.
and that in the end, the accelerating part is gonna last a second.
Yeah.
um, it's so true to everything else. It's sometimes I feel like I wanna for team bonding. I just want to make my team do the longest possible because the season is a puzzle,
Mm-hmm.
and and sometimes you're gonna get benched, and that's probably one of the toughest things. Like convincing players who probably deserve to play, but somebody else just deserves it a little bit more,
Mm.
or the game is asking for that, and being okay with, hey, I'm not part of this part of the puzzle, but when I come in, I can make that difference. But it's tough. It's tough to help us think in process rather than in destination. And so the ingredients that I think are transferable. One of them is progress,
Mm.
like just
Yeah.
constant. Uh, it's almost like I don't know if it's a drug, but and anything that we don't feel that gives us a little bit of a sense of progress in a direction that we want to head. It's almost like we just don't want to do it. Um, and so every piece is like, oh, progress. Another one is accomplishment.
Yeah.
There's this feeling of accomplishment that like, oh, I figured something out.
Mm-hmm. That's another thing.
What is another thing?
God is the creator of the life, the
God
puzzle.
is this right here, and we come in and we just think that we know better.
Yeah.
But I do think that when you were talking about that moment of when like the piece almost finds you,
Yes.
and then you click. There's these moments in the real world where we call coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's a moment where like a little puzzle piece, like we were so connected to life,
Yeah.
and that situation was so connected to us, and it was almost like effortlessly coming together. And I feel that we could probably access those moments more.
Mm.
And there's probably, I don't know if this is like algorithm to it, but I do think that there is an ingredient of lack of control. Um, but then I also think that without this structure, we don't increase the chances of that moment.
Yeah.
What's the balance between structure and freedom? At least in puzzles, maybe. So,
Yeah, I'm like, don't ask me all that, but like in puzzles, like for example, right now, I'm categorizing at the best of my ability, but there is not enough spaces for me to categorize. Like for example, my intention is for this one to be yellow, but there aren't many pieces that are just yellow. So I have to create a space for pieces that, like, I know when I start doing it that this is gonna be where all my blue pieces are, because most of the blue has yellow.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So when I get started and I need a blue piece, I'm looking here. But when we start narrowing things down, eventually this bowl will become empty, and I can categorize my blue and yellow and my blue and green.
Okay.
So like,
So
that didn't answer your question.
no, it gives a bit of strategic process for the possibility of you running into the right green piece that you need.
I found the other part.
Of what?
I mean corner.
Let's go over there.
Right?
Yeah.
And now I'm just making sure it's, yes.
I like to choose words for my year, and last year my word was awe. And the word awe felt such a parallel to what God makes you feel. And in the process of like, oh, I want an equation for awe for this year to try to figure out how to, if my year was a puzzle and at the end of the year I could experience awe, how can I get there? And then I broke it into acronym. Is that what it's called when you?
Yes, I think so.
When you put a word to each, and so the words that for aim became the first word, and then the second one, W, was wonder, and then the third one was execute. And there's something about, so this is aim. So we're aiming with different colors, different parts of the puzzle, and sometimes we feel that these frameworks are static as a like 1, 2, 3, but within this aim we're wondering. Like there's no full aim in this chaos, but we're both aim, and I can't aim and wonder as good as you in puzzles. So right now I'm just like aim, borders, but you're like aim, borders, and colors. You know, and that's probably why you're better at puzzles than I, because you can combine the aim and the wonder, and then at the same time you're bringing in execution. Like I haven't put one of these corner pieces. You put every corner piece, and something about your capacity to aim, wonder, and execute in the end is going to bring us a little bit closer to the final piece, which is hopefully a moment like of awe. We're like, oh, this is beautiful. But there is that that's interwoven in puzzles, and I choose to believe that that is true in life. The people that are able to aim, wonder, and execute almost at the same time, they probably have the capacity to create awe and experience awe, which if life is not to find moments of awe, then what is it for? You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is the puzzle. That's the puzzle episode. If we don't stop this episode, I'm just not gonna be as useful for you, because although
Trust me, I'm chilling.
I know you're chilling. I think when my version of aim, wonder, execute is I'm doing this with you, and I'm wondering, and I'm putting together how this connects, and executing a possible moment of a podcast that connects to the people that we serve, and at the end also give people a texture of who we are and what we like to do. Like I think sometimes it's intimidating to take time off in such a grind culture. Yeah. And sometimes I even feel guilty.
Yeah. I was just thinking the other day that I'm like, it's really the grass is always greener. Because I was like, I can't wait to go on vacation. And then I'm here and I'm like, I feel like I'm not doing anything. Like, what? what am I doing? Like, I need to, when am I gonna start like doing actual work? Like, when am I, whatever. You just get so in your head about it, and then I remind, well, I guess growth is reminding myself, no, I wanted this. Take advantage of this, because when it's not here, I'm gonna want it again. It's so, it's such a human tragedy,
We're never.
honestly.
It's almost like we're never content.
No.
Yeah, it's like, is it fair that we're here when I'm like, well, I'm not necessarily just here to just do nothing. Like,
Yeah.
I know that intentionally, in the same way that we have to separate these pieces to put them back together, I feel that I have to separate myself and my wife if we're trying to put together a compelling picture that brings awe, not not that our lives brings awe, but that we can, yeah, that could be one piece, but that we can bring opportunity for awe in other people's lives. And I think that separating ourselves um, is an act of love, not just for ourselves, but for the people that we love. And at the end of the day, as long as you know that and I know that, then whatever other people have to say can be considered, but is less relevant.
About intention.
It's about intention. It's about intention. What is our intention? And it's not just to do nothing. In fact, it's actually harder for me to do nothing. All right, so we're gonna shut it down. Um, what's the takeaway for people trying to do puzzle or trying to do life now?
Be patient. Because it also made me think, the reason that, like, I much rather focus on just finding the borders, but it requires patience for me to decide to organize them. Because it would be much easier to just go through them, throw to the side the pieces that I know are not borders, keep the pieces that are borders, and then leave a pile and then get started on the borders. Get started on the fun part, which is put pieces together. So patience, I think, is a big part of building a puzzle. And if life is a puzzle, you have to be patient about when you're going to get that piece that you need and in what moment.
In some sense, some sort of like multitasking that, like, life is multitasking.
Yeah. There's so many categories of your life that I can only focus on one at a time. If not, I'm gonna start going crazy.
Period. That's it. Yeah, that's good. Patience it sounds like a weaker tool than it actually is. It's probably one of the strongest tools that we can add to our toolkit.
What about you?
What about me?
Yeah, what's your takeaway?
My takeaway is that you need both structure and moments of free inspiration. But I do think that within structure, we give life to a moment of inspiration or coincidence or luck, whatever you want to call it. And so don't overstructure it in a way that you suck out the magical moments. And don't be too unstructured that is going to take you much longer to do the puzzle than you ever could, and you may be delaying the awe that you can bring to the world and into your life. And that's like, we constantly want equations, but that's something that only our honesty to our season and to our loved ones can tell. Like, we lost a relative in the middle of us being here, and trying to figure out the balance of being present there and honoring our boundaries and being present there and honor and dancing with that, like that. You can't say, oh, because you chose rest, like, forget everything else. And the opposite is true also, like, oh, this came up, so forfeit your rest or your reset or your replenish. And so it's those are two tools that we have to find a way to teach them how to dance in every season. Um, and don't copy and paste. I think don't copy and paste. Um, find the principles and implement them in your life, because there's uniqueness to your story. Um, cool. That was the puzzle episode. Maybe we'll do another one. We still have a couple more days here. We definitely have a couple more days with this puzzle. Um, maybe we'll do another one where the puzzle is in a different stage, and then Melissa can give us more uh, live takeaways or puzzle takeaways. Yo, so this is what you have to do. You have to follow us on Instagram. You have to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. Listen to our podcast. Leave comments. Tell us what is the best way to do this puzzle or a puzzle. Talk to us about how you see overlaps between making puzzles and figuring out life. And just a shout out to the family that gives us the opportunity to use this space. I don't think they understand how much they are serving. If you serve a certain amount of players and I serve a certain amount of players in our families, they don't understand how much this space gives an opportunity for us to do the most good when we're not in this space. And the power of their generosity is going, to use our language, is becomes infinite, because it's not about them and it goes beyond them. So thank you so much. If you do watch or listen to this episode, you know who you are, and you've really you've postured a lifestyle of giving more than you take, and if we all gave more than we take, what a world we would live in. But all right, cool. Mel, thank you for allowing me to interrupt our puzzle time with some podcast. I love you. Thank you for having conversations with me, and we'll see you guys next episode.